Alright, hey everybody. It's July 7th, 2017, so 7/7/17. Just figured I'd do a little update here. I haven't made any videos lately, except for that chopping video, that probably a week or so ago now. I think it's about a week. But I'm standing up here in tool shed. As you can see, we got some wagon loads of hay. We got 6 loads of hay in here. We are done with first cutting finally. Finished that on Wednesday. So I did not get any video of baling or raking. I still do plan on doing that here when we start second cutting, which should be pretty soon. The baler was giving me fits, and it was supposed to rain every day when it was time to bale, so I just didn't really have the motivation to be sticking the camera all over the place. But anyway, I think I got the baler problem solved. I'll probably go look at that here in a minute. This is just going to be an update video. Just what's been going on. Got the white here with the sprayer. I picked that up today from my buddy, and hopefully going to spray some beans tomorrow. You can see it's kind of getting cloudy. We got an inch of rain finally last night, which was much needed. Corn and beans weren't too bad, but corn was really starting to turn into pineapples, so good to get that. And there's some storms north of us right now, so maybe we'll get another shot. Did some round baling on some hay. Had some little 5-acre field that was getting pretty laid, and stuff just wasn't very good, so decided to round bale it. Weeds are starting to come up in it. Seems like the last couple winters we've had a lot of frost kill on alfalfa and whatnot, so that field might be getting torn up next year. But so get some round baling, get the Massey on that. But yep, so I don't know. So we walk out here, we can look at the hayfield, second cutting. Hopefully it's not too bright. Shouldn't be too windy yet. This spine sitting there, that worked good. That was nice. Didn't have any issues with that on first cutting. Probably put new knives on it for second. Flipped them before we started first cutting this year. But, so walk out here. Most of the hay fields I did end up fertilizing after first cutting. Put some triple 19 down on them. So if you can see, stuff looks pretty good. This is that new seeding field. Just starting to get some blossoms on some of it. So it's probably, it's a foot tall. That rain should really help it. It's supposed to get quite warm here next couple days again. It's up to my knees here, a couple spots. So might actually be able to get a good second crop for once, hopefully. But I also did do some side dressing of corn. We can go look at that. Side dresser here I picked up a year ago. This is the first year I used it. I didn't get any video of using it because it's kind of a, I don't know, a trial year. I've never used one before, but had some kinks to get worked out of it, but it seems to work pretty good now. Had to replace a lot of all these tips. If you look right here, this tip right here, tip of my finger, if that focuses, those were so worn out that they wore way back up into it here, and the hole was lobbed out, so it definitely wasn't putting on a very accurate rate for the guy that was using it before. But so at these tips, I was only shooting for about 20 gallons an acre of 28, and I had, I don't know, a couple hundred gallons here left over from the spring, so I just tested it out with that on some fields. Seemed to have made a difference, so I guess next year I'll plan on using it more. I just didn't want to force myself into having to use it this year, not knowing exactly how well it worked and if it worked right and whatnot. So I already had all my fertilizer out that I needed for my projected yield. So this is just kind of a little bonus that I got put on some acres. the V-rake here hooked up to the 2940. I use that when I was baling on, I do round bales. I use it just a lot quicker. I can put 2 into 1 right away and go faster, and you don't really have to worry too much about it. If there's a little spot that maybe is a little tough or wet, it's not really that big of a deal in a round bale as opposed to square bales. So I use that, and I got a muck field, 4 acres that we cut, and it's basically like swamp grass almost. It's the kind of ground that when you're driving on with a tractor, if you're standing there, you could feel it move. It's pretty much stuff like this. This is some reed canary, I believe. But cows don't particularly like this stuff, but when it's snowing and it's cold in the winter, it looks better than the old snowbank. So kind of mix that in with them. But anyway, hopefully tomorrow morning I will be spraying just a few acres here at home farm, so I get that on video hopefully. So this Kubota, got a little spray tank in there. I was spraying pasture. But let's run over here and look at this corn. Alright, so this cornfield here, I said on a previous video that I planted it in March. Obviously that's wrong. I just planted April 26th. So I don't know if this camera will really show it, but if you see here these first, you know, you can, I don't know if how well you'll be able to pick it up, but if you look about 12 rows in, the corn's about a foot taller. So that is where this is the field I tested out the applicator on first. And I was having a bunch of issues with hoses blowing off and whatnot. So these last 12 from here down to the road there didn't get any nitrogen because I had a hose blow over here, and I just said, screw it, I'm gonna get out of the field and go and mess with it and get it all cleaned up and whatnot. So, but this corn here is, I'm not exactly the tallest person, but it's up to my chin right here. So it looks pretty nice. I say it's shorter right in here, and then you get up to where I side dressed it right here, and this is, I'm holding the camera right now eye level, so this is over my head. So it's all 5 foot, probably 6 foot tall. So it's pretty nice looking corn. See down here, rows are really clean, so we had good weed control with our pre-emergent. That's the only spray I put on corn. I usually just use well, it was Lexar, but now we're using a an off-brand of it, I would say. The patent came off on Callisto, I believe it is. So you can pretty much mix your own Lexar now for cheaper. Like before it was like, I don't know, I guess I shouldn't even guess, but I want to say it was like $40 an acre or something almost. Now with this it's like $25. I think the new product is called Explorer. But here I got there, pretty good stand. Nice dark green color to it, so that's good. So hopefully this will be pretty good corn if we keep getting rain. It's on lighter ground. Like I say, most of the ground here at the home farm is pretty light. But some more of that hay field. So anyway, let's run over. We'll take a quick look at the baler and maybe look at some soybeans. Alright, over to the hay barn here. The 2955's on the baler. John Deere 328 baler. Let's see, pile of hay, some of the hay. Sold quite a bit of first cutting right out of the field. Well, I had to deliver it, but got another 200 bales of this stuff to get out before I unload those wagons in here. This is nicer stuff. So, got a lady that wants it. So, I'll make sure I get that down there. But I'll show this to you guys if you haven't seen the inside of our barn yet, but this is our old hip roof barn / dairy barn. It's an old Model A cab, and all the other parts are up there. The corn head's in here for summer, and fertilizer spreader. Since I was spreading fertilizer on hay fields, I didn't bury that away in the shed yet. Little elevator. But anyway, to the baler here. So the baler, we had issues with it tying a couple years ago. Came out of timing basically. Had a plunger bearing went out on it. Ended up putting the needles into the plunger, broke both the needles. Then it wouldn't tie right after that. Well, I ended up twisting this arm right here a little bit, not much. I mean, you couldn't see it hardly, but when we would cycle the needles up and through, they weren't coming up quite in the right spot, so it was missing the twine every time on the right side. So I ended up taking a come along and just giving this here a little bit of a tweak, and it's been working flawless since. Really never misses a bale. The only time it'll miss a bale is if I'm the one tying new twine together here. Baler does not like my square knot, and one side will usually always miss a bale if I'm the one that did it. So I don't know why, but anyway, the problem we were having is with the actual kicker. So I put this thing away last year, worked fine, and then get to go to use it this year. Worked fine for the first couple loads, and then started doing all kinds of crazy things, throwing bales. I'll get in here. So what these do is this bale right here comes back onto this. This is the pan, the shiny, it's aluminum. And the bale comes back and it hits this lever. And it hits this lever, you can see that arm right there move. That tells the cylinder right there that it's time to eject the bale. So, little cylinder right there that pushes up on this catch latch so that it can throw the bale. Well, that cylinder was leaking last year, the little one, so I went and got the parts to fix it, and all it was an O-ring and a backup ring. Really nothing to it. Put it on and still wasn't working right. It would not kick, or it would kick, but it would keep this arm up. So then the pan would come back and bounce, and it was doing all kinds of weird things. So I ended up replacing that cylinder because it blew out that sealing backup ring that I put in. So that little cylinder there is brand new. And I put it on and it worked a little bit better, but it still wasn't quite working right. So it's never fun when you have a baler that's not working right when you got hay down. And every time you got hay down, it seems like it's supposed to rain the next day, or that night. So it turns into an issue. But I think we've figured out to be is this right here is your manual trip. If this was running and I push this lever, it would trip the kicker. But if you look, still see there's some slop in that. Quite a bit actually. There's I don't know if there's supposed to be a bushing in there or what there was, but there's gonna be a bushing in there now. And take that off and get a bushing to get in there. Tighten that up because it was losing too much travel on this arm right here when it was getting told to kick. So sometimes it wouldn't even kick a bale. It would kick a bale, kick 10 bales perfectly all the way to the back of the wagon, and all of a sudden it would kick a bale that would barely even, either would barely get in the wagon or would fall short, which would make no sense. So we adjusted the linkage here a little bit. Not really supposed to have to adjust that unless you change your bale length. But we adjusted that so that it would eat up some of the play here. And the last, I don't know, 30, 40 bales I did with it, it worked fine. So thinking that was the problem, and going to get a bushing to get in there and eat that slop up. This baler's, she's old. I can't even imagine how many bales have been through it. I would have to guess at least over 100,000. We bought it used quite a few years ago. We've had this thing for probably, boy, I bet you we've had this for almost 15 years. But this right here is your distance control. So the higher the number, the farther it'll throw it. Goes from 1 to 8. you put it on 8, it'll throw it over the back of a wagon. But squeaky floorboard here. Let's see how many bales we've done. It's not that many. 2134. So that's a little bit light. Usually we do about 35. But we don't quite have the acres of hay that we normally do, and I end up round baling quite a few. But so yeah, that's what's the one thing that's been going on. Baler giving me fits. But show you some more of this barn. Pretty cool. Pretty cool how they make these old things. It's actually pretty new as far as hip roof barns go. There's a story on that. And supposedly this one burnt down back in the day when they were threshing into it. It used to be like 10 feet longer. The old foundation's still out to the side here, and then they rebuilt this. But you can get a lot of hay in here. Usually I only have to use this side now. When I was a kid, we used to fill up all of these 3 bays here, and then there's a little corner over there, and we would go all the way up to that light bulb. I can remember being able to touch that light bulb and change it just by standing in hay. So, but I don't do that much anymore. So anyway, I guess that's the baler, or the issues I've been having with the baler. Other issues, skid loader's not here. I had to take that over to a buddy of mine that does mechanic work. It's got a few issues with it. Radiator is pretty much garbage, I believe. Oil pressure sensor wasn't working. I replaced that, and then it still wasn't working, so it's got an automatic shutdown on it, so you can't destroy the motor. But I put a regular gauge on it, and I had plenty of oil pressure. So it's a sensor. I thought it might be electrical, but he took out there's an elbow in there where the plugs into the block, and found a little bit of metal shavings in it, so that's not good. But that thing does have 8,000 hours on it, so I don't know. That's a lot, but not a lot. It's a lot for a skid loader, I guess. Usually when you're using a skid loader, it's not just putzing around. Usually you're doing something with it. So I don't know if that's going to fix that problem, just cleaning that elbow out. I don't know. I've never really seen any shavings in the oil when you change it or anything, so I don't know what that's going to be. And the main reason I took it there is hydraulics. A check valve or something went haywire in there. Most of it's all electric over hydraulics, so it's kind of a rat's nest when you open those things up and start poking around. Anyway, you could hear oil flowing, and it sounded like the motor was always straining it was always trying to be pumping when it shouldn't have been. But, so I don't know. We haven't quite figured that problem out yet, but that's definitely one of the things that needs to get fixed. Kind of sucks not having a loader. So, let's go back and look at some beans real quick. This video is getting long. Alright, real quick on the way out to the field, I figured try to show you what I did yesterday. You can see these beautiful plants. I don't know if this is the official Canadian flower or what, but there's a lot of Canadian thistle out here in this pasture. Stuff keeps coming back and back, and tried mowing it and whatnot. But finally yesterday I drove around on the Kubota for a couple hours and had a little sprayer in there, and I hit all these little guys with some 2,4-D and Roundup. So I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but they are turning brown already and starting to die. So hopefully we'll win that battle. Alright, on to the beans. Alright, here we are, bean field. It's probably the one I'll spray tomorrow, and if I get video, it'll be of this field for right now. But I had to put a pre-emergent on here, but it was only for broadleafs, and it did a pretty good job, except for right here. There's probably a 20-foot swath all the way down the side of this field that is full of lamb's quarter, which is this plant right here. Seems to be one of our I don't know, one of our most popular weeds. It's really not too bad to control. Just when it comes in hot and heavy. So anyway, soybeans really jumped up here in the last couple days. They're, I don't know, the tallest ones here, but they're probably a foot. But they're all different sizes out here. You'll find some that are about a foot tall, and I can find some that are only a few inches tall. So, but you see out there's a low spot there. It's a lot of grass coming in there, and I don't know. It's not my best looking bean field, but unfortunately it's also not my worst looking bean field. So, a little update on some crops here. See if we can zoom over there. Some corn. Side dress that corn over there. And that right there. Whew, sorry for shaking. It's all hayfield there too. So one of the later cut ones, so it's not very tall yet. But did get fertilized. So anyway, figured I'd do an update. Haven't really done much in a while. Not much going on. It's been pretty hot and dry. So just kind of, I don't know. Like I said, we finished up hay, but nothing too exciting there. So anyway, so I probably won't be able to put out another video for a little while after that spraying one. My wife and I are expecting our second child in the next week or so, so I will have my hands full with that and trying to get the rest of my beans planted and do second cutting. So hopefully I'll get some video of that stuff. I just don't know when I'll get a chance to edit it and get it uploaded. So anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Feel free to comment, subscribe if you want to. Any questions or anything, feel free to leave them in the comments and I will get back to you. Alright, hope everybody has a good day. Talk to you later.